Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the poet Izzy Human with the philosopher Dunamis on this week's episode number 13, Fight for Artists. Please be sure to hit that like button on your way in and consider subscribing to keep up with our episodes on YouTube and give us a follow on X if you like us.
And Fightcast is here to empower individuals to live healthier, master their finances, pursue their dreams, and inspire others through self-awareness and global impact. Remember, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and not financial advice.
Cha-ching. Dunamis, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing? It's been a good week. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been a good week, man. It has. It definitely has. Building blocks and exercising the mind. That's the best way I can put it.
You know, there's a lot of people that are scared in the markets, I'd say, right now. A lot of people worried about Bitcoin right now falling, I guess, to below $90,000 down, into the $80,000 range.
I think ADA right now is even at what, 67 cents?
Pullbacks are normal in a bull market. So
Mhm.
this kind of thing is normally a buy the dip opportunity.
Yeah, I definitely have faith, and I see this more as a good buying opportunity for those who are listening. This is not financial advice.
It'll pay off in the long run, though. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is that it really depends on your time horizon and where you're at. That's why we don't offer the financial advice.
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
And tonight we're fighting for artists, man. Tonight
We are.
I think it's a great opportunity, Izzy, to get into being that you're an artist, being that you record music and you do this very regularly. This is an opportunity, I think, for me to be able to ask you some questions, if that's okay. Unpack some
Yeah,
things tonight.
yeah. Ask away.
Awesome, awesome. Well, one of the things that I think we're interested in knowing, of course, we talked back in episode 3, I think it was, where we said fight for music, and you'd mentioned being a fan of Linkin Park and some of the artists that you listened to in the '90s and going back, but I wanted to unpack a little bit more of when you're rapping, who or what that you've listened to has shaped your lyrical DNA?
As of lately, I would say Hove has been doing a lot of that. Kendrick Lamar has been really heavy. Wale will always have a special place in my heart. Of course, Mike Shinoda will always be the baseline. I feel Linkin Park was the hybrid that my soul needed, and that's been the identity of what I've been working on throughout these years, and definitely has helped shape that. But when I listen to Hove and Kendrick to me have spoken a lot in our community and hip hop culture, and the they're speaking about the paradigm shift, and that's really big for me right now with those words, and those are the words that I feel that resonate with me, and I feel like those are the words that I feel like I need to be putting out into the universe as well.
On along those lines, if somebody isn't familiar with your albums and the music that you've put out so far, if they're just now discovering our podcast and they were wanting to check out your music for the first time, is there one track that you'd want to maybe have them listen to understand who you are?
Yeah. So I would say Barcelona is the name of the project. You can find that on all streaming platforms. And there's actually a couple. If I had to narrow it down, I would say ugh, Love with a Brinks is definitely up there.
Awesome.
That would be the first song that I would introduce people to before they dug into the catalog. So start there and then go wherever you want to go.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, you were talking about with Kendrick Lamar and Hove and the message. Do you remember the first time that you realized the power in words? And what was that moment like for you?
Yeah, when I started writing music, that's when I realized that those words shaped a lot of my emotions and really helped me out through a lot of times where, as a kid, you always, I don't think I'm going to make it. And we all have certain circumstances that we go through. Words for me in writing, it it calmed me. It gave me an outlet to be able to put the energy that I had inside onto paper. So I would say 8, 9 years old, I started to grasp a bit of a concept of just being able to transfer energy, but without knowing that I was transferring energy, but just how it made me feel. And as I got older and started surrounding myself by a bunch of people that were smarter than me, started to then key in on the terms, the terminology, and the learning the language, then really being able to polish those words. And now having that front thought of, yes, this is what it is. Now that's the practice, knowing that everything that you say has power to it, has an energy, has a frequency to it. That's why every word counts.
Absolutely. One of the things I think that sort of drew me to your music initially, and I'll say it was the Six City Signature series, was when I was first hearing, your raps. And the thing that drew me to it was really the intelligence of the lyrics and the way that it really actually reminded me a lot of Shinoda, in the sense that you're talking about things and you have a perspective on them. I like the fact that yours was labeled alternative as well, and I definitely got that. There's a lot more musically going on in a lot of your stuff. I really love the direction that you take with your music. What I want to ask is, in terms of writing style, and I know artists are probably going to be listening to this at some point,
Hmm.
and what role of improvisation or freestyling, does that work into your creative process at all? Is it something that you work in, or is it something where you're writing lyrics out more in poetry form first?
Hmm.
I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, great question. I used to write a lot, or let me phrase it this way: I wrote a lot in notebooks.
Okay.
That was the equation that I had established for me to release emotion, release energy. Tons and tons of notebooks. Even now, I feel that I have notebooks from when I was a kid that I have not tapped into in a really, really long time. I may even tap into them a little bit later at some point. So I started with notebooks, really spent a lot of time writing because I really wanted to get my thought out. And I had a lot of trauma that I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing in the story that I was telling. And I wanted to tell a story then to my mother. I was talking to my mom, and then that was when I look back at it now. That was definitely a lot of that, and that's where I felt those words even having the meaning, because I didn't live with my mom. The whole time I was a teenager, I moved in with my grandparents for about 4 or 5 years. But I remember being in the basement with my cousin, and I would write late at night, and he would come out and listen, and it would be just that, we're going to get out of the basement, we're going to get out of the basement, we're going to make it, and there's nothing that's going to be said about it. So yeah, I was really tuned in with that. As I got older, those thoughts then, because I'd exercised writing those things, now those things are encrypted. Those things are now becoming natural and they come out with ease. So freestyling became more prevalent. And I like to exercise both. I like to be able to give myself, let's say, a 2 minute drill on, okay, if I'm going to freestyle this, then I'm going to give myself a 2 minute drill to go with that. I also don't I don't want to push the process either, like it's whatever comes, it comes. So if this is keyed for more of a let me sit down and write this and let it develop in that manner, or at least just give you the first verse and the hook may be a freestyle, then the second verse may be something written down. I like to exercise both because I like to challenge myself mentally.
That's awesome. Yeah, I could see even how some songs could maybe end up becoming a mix of, something that you wrote and then maybe something that happened live or or something like
Oh
that,
yeah.
That's yeah, no, that's very, very cool. Artists that are getting into Web3 now, you
Mhm.
know, and maybe they've done stuff in Web 2, done stuff with Spotify. I know with Solidity Records, with the Finest LLC, that you've been working on basically solutions, right?
Mhm.
In that scope. Did you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. So with the Solidity Records, the finest Solidity Records, our team, we are in compliance with the Web 2 standards, meaning that what music we publish will meet criteria to be able to cross chain, as you will. Web 3, I like both of these. So anybody who is crossing over into the Web 3 community, the biggest thing that I will say about Web 3 is the community aspect of it. I went into this because I wanted to be around like-minded people that made music and even outside of that, I was able to stimulate the esoteric in me. And I'm in a community of people that think like that. It's important to then when you look at it from a marketing standpoint too, and I don't want to dig too deep into it, but I feel that it's important to feed your community, and being a part of a community that has fed me, I feel that even from a music standpoint, there's going to be a level of exclusivity to what even goes out in Web 2, because I want to show priority to my people, and just to continue to build that bond. And Web 2, of course, it's the other side of the world. It's everything that we've seen. We use these platforms, and why not be a part of them? Why not? My monthly or my top artist that I listen to every year for the past 4 years has been me. And I don't know how else to put it without it's coming off as pretentious, but that's because I love me some me, man.
Hell yeah.
And and I want to be a part of me contributing to myself. I'm paying myself.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I absolutely I want all artists to have that confidence in themselves too. And I wanted to just real quick talk on the bravado. The bravado of words to me, outside of just saying, "Hey, I'm big and tough and strong, and I've got a bunch of money," is the impact in those words.
Hmm.
The confidence that you have in those words, and that's what I love about Hove. Hove doesn't have to say a lot. He doesn't. Does he? At times, is there times where he just snaps and goes berserk? Yeah, for sure. But sometimes when you listen to some of his songs, they're just really simple, but the words are super impactful. Kanye is another one.
Hmm. The industry can dilute that originality sometimes, you know. How would you say that you stay true to your craft without compromising your vision?
I continue to talk about my life, and not not through the lens of what I'm wishing to be, pretending to be somebody that I'm not. J. Cole said in a record that if you're a broke rapper, just talk about it. I
Mm.
respect you more for that than
Yeah.
you putting on this facade. And we've all had those imposter complexes in music where we've all wanted to flaunt and close and this and that in some degree. I even in those times, listening to some of my old music is a bit cringy, just because I can go right back into that time and know exactly what I was doing.
Mhm.
And the flip side to that is the reason why it's so cringy is because it's true. And it's just like, man, I was such a 22-year-old, and but I was true to that. I was true to that. But I also talked about wanting to evolve. And there were still songs that were like that. Those were the solos. With my buddy, it was just, hey, let's go ahead and make a banger tonight. So when people come over, they can listen to our stuff type deal. Now I have to stay, I like everything around me is my, it's the reality that I see. So that puts it, that keeps it into perspective for me. And funny enough, oddly enough, God has a really great sense of humor. God has a wonderful way of humbling you.
Yeah.
And I remember an experience where I had lost my job, got fired from my job, full transparency. I had my car got repoed and I didn't have anything. And the roommate I was with at the time, it was just it was great. But this was also coming off of just making a bunch of songs about just being on top of the world and this and that, and you can't see me, can't touch me, this, that, and the third. I tell you what, those 5 songs after that were the exact opposite, and I would say that those were the best 5 songs that I ever made after that, because I could
Mm.
feel the humility and that was you can hear the ebbs and flows of a lot of the songs. You can tell where I was really juicy, or maybe I got a stimulus check or something, but then you can also tell when I had 20 bucks.
Uh, that's where
But
wisdom is created, right?
for sure.
Oh man. Yeah, that's incredible. What about just thinking in terms of Web3 and artists and the fight for artists? What is it that what's next for you? What's the vision beyond the music, and what's coming up for Solidity, you think, in 2025?
Yeah, two-part question. So, one, I will say for all Web3 artists, push your music. We dictate this narrative in some shape. And we talk about the bull run, and I know ultimately, by the powers that be, it's not ultimately up to thee. But I feel the more exposure that the more we put ourselves out there, the more that we shed light on Cardano, we shed light on all of these things, and people see us, there's going to be an interest that gets drawn to that. So
Hmm.
now is not the time to be shy. Now is the time for, in outside of the artistry, all everybody in the community of Cardano. Now is the time to just continue to promote and keep building market strategies, but beneath that, and stay strong to your core. Post, engage, build a bond, show unity, because when people start looking into that, newer people, they see that unity, they see that bond, they see something that's they see longevity in that. Not it creates less uncertainties, and we know the crypto narrative, or we know of the crypto narrative, because truth be told, I'm throwing that in the trash can. I don't believe it anymore. Why? Because
Yeah.
I choose not to believe it. um and as
Well,
far as that's all, go ahead.
it's not just the tokens. That's the thing that you said is what brought you to this space is the community. And we did a whole episode on community, but that's really what it is. And I think that's when that unlocks, when people recognize finally that they can be in the same Discord space as the artists that they enjoy, as they can engage with their fans, from the other side of things. I think we're going to see a lot more adoption into Web3, because it's not about crypto token money go up like so much of
Hmm.
the other stuff it really is about the technology, and it really is about bringing artists and fans closer together in a personal way that
Hmm.
you don't get typically in that Web 2 space. So
Exactly. You don't need a VIP access backstage pass to jump into the Discord. None of that. And we're normal people. I mean, we're normal people that make music, and there's a lot of people that make art, that play instruments, that are just really great at just talking. And man, there's so many people in this community, man. I've got a really long list at this point, and it's only going to get longer. Shout out to everybody I'll be honest with you, I can't mention everybody, but you know who you are. You feel my energy, you feel the vibes. SLR, man, to answer the other part of your question, man, there's so many things in place. And I feel that with us, and what's been the base of our brand has been just making sure that we have all of the resources available for not only our artists, but for, people outside of this too, because we want to show value in our label. This is more than just the music, as you mentioned. This is the education as well, education on music and on processes and ways to really build your brand, and ways to promote your product. Your product being your music, your brand being you, the artist. So that's the other aspect of that too. In Web two, man, I didn't have that education. That was what I had to learn. That I had to learn all of that. I had to learn ASCAP and BMIs and what distribution platforms to use, whether it be Reverb. I was using Reverb Nation for a really long time. I was using Reverb Nation and SoundCloud. I still use SoundCloud and Reverb Nation because it's just another platform for exposure.
Mhm.
Now it's everywhere now. There's and I say this to everybody jokingly, but there's no reason for you not to be able to hear me. You can Google me now, and I'm not the only one that says that. So I'm sure Def Lord would say that. I'm sure Hakeem would say that. I'm saying that. Yeah, you Google me, bro, and I'm not saying that in a way where it's pretentious, but it's a fact. If you Google my name, I'm gonna pop up. That's just what it is. But that's what we've worked for, and with all of that being said, I've really feel like SLR this year is having a breakthrough. We've been able to shed a lot of skin. We've been able to trim a lot of fat. We've definitely been able to be the most transparent that we've been about our business. And I feel that has just come with because of a solidified direction. And more specific, I feel that everybody now is growing comfortable in their skin. People are starting to come out of the shell of this metamorphosis and knowing who they are, and their identities are showing, and that confidence then just continues to push us forward, and it's only going to get better from there.
Definitely, man. The community aspect of it is what really makes us. It gives us an advantage, And I remember the listening room very early on coming into the space and feeling
Yeah.
like that was really a community for artists, by artists, and I would definitely like to see more of that, and maybe we need to set up more of that in our Discord space as well. But just because we do have a lot of artists that are in our spaces, but I think that the collaborative, like you said, not even just music artists, but people that paint or people that draw or are into AI, even art and prompting, or maybe they know how to use Adobe, Photoshop or Illustrator to make logos, or whatever that is. These are all skills that are, there is some amount of talent that goes into it. There's some
Mhm.
amount of inherent talent, but they're also skills that can be learned. And in a day and age when we're all sort of competing with AI, I like the fact that these communities can come together. We can teach ourselves valuable skills that can be used. Whether it's, I mean, for one person, it might be dropping a verse. For somebody else, it could be, you know, drawing a caricature, and for somebody else, it could be, you know, um,
Mhm.
creating a podcast. So,
Yeah. So many facets of it, man. And oddly enough, this sounds really, really odd, but what I would really love to do is just something like, just to be like, yeah, he did it. I want to be the person behind the scenes that does the sound effects for movies.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
they call that Foley, right?
Yeah. Foley. Yep.
That's that's cool. Yeah, I've seen some documentaries on that, and that always seems really interesting. What The more that you're aware of that kind of stuff, the thing that I noticed is it kind of ruins movies for me a little bit now, because I'll be
Yeah.
like, you're watching it and then somebody gets punched and you hear that. You're like, okay, it doesn't sound like that, but
Where's the guy? Where's the guy? I know he's behind he's behind the
exactly.
curtain. Go get him.
Yeah.
Yes. AI, man. And I wanted to the cool thing, what I love about AI is now we've created a resource to where now everything in your mind can just blah, you can just throw it out there, you can just throw it out there and then refine the thoughts in your mind. And that's what I love the most about DJ Deflord. Shout out to DJ Deflord. You know, I've been able to, and our label, and we've all been fortunate enough to just see the growth with him over time and how he's been able to build a relationship with, you know, his AI, and his AI knows him, and it knows what his music is and his art, and has formed a full on persona to the point now where we've got multiple Def Lords. You know, Def Lord's got a band. I don't know if you knew that or not, but he's got a band out there,
That's
and
awesome.
bigger than Slipknot. But he is definitely one that I feel would be important to explain a little bit more into that. We don't, I don't want to dig into that a little bit more, but especially when it comes to AI and knowing it and really utilizing it to you know, to continue being authentic, or building off of your authenticity, and not just being somebody who's just wanting to get thrown into the algorithm. He broke that. You know, so I think that that's really dope, and that honestly,
We'll have to have
yeah,
him on the show to talk about that for sure.
would love for him to talk about that. Yeah, because that's a whole other, that's a whole other beast, man. I mean, really, it's simple when you think about it, but I think I say it's a whole other beast, just because of the speculation behind it,
Mhm.
or the uncertainty, or they're taking our art. And you know, he brought that up. He said, I'm not taking anything. You know, if you're upset at me for making music, then you should go make music.
Mhm.
And I mean, mic drop.
Yeah. I really, that's how I look at it as well, in the sense that there's going to be some amount, it's we're going to converge to the best thing. That's just how we are. And so I feel like there is going to be some amount of AI music and AI directly generated artistry that is going to be sloppy, that's just
Mhm.
not going to be up to snuff. And
Right.
then there's going to be people that are really good at it,
Mhm.
at creating the prompts and doing all of that. And then there's going to be people that are real world talented, that maybe know one or two instruments, that can bring that artwork and combine it in with the stuff that they're doing with AI.
Mhm.
And we're going to be able to see from that um, incredible collaborations that I think either people that are doing things either completely traditionally or just with AI will not be able to compete with, just because it's going to be that blend of the best of what we have. So
And that is what SLR is doing.
hell yeah, that's awesome.
Ad lib.
To follow along with that, just sort of where things are, kind of brings me around to an important question I've been wanting to ask you.
Okay.
And what's your take on hip hop's current spiritual state? Like, are we in a renaissance? Is it a crisis? Or is this something else entirely?
It's in a renaissance. 100% in a renaissance. And I say that when I'm looking at it, what I'm looking at right now is I'm seeing Kendrick Lamar's, I'm seeing J. Cole's, I'm seeing Hoes speak out, I'm seeing Ye's do all sorts of things, and I don't want to say Ye too much because I don't want there to be any controversy behind that. We all have our own opinion. Fight me in the comments, please.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. When I'm hearing now, and I'm hearing Joey Badass, and I'm hearing Rayvon, and I'm hearing the competition, I'm hearing sport come out. I'm hearing more of that authenticity come out. The just that whole, we're all in the same label at some point. We're all linked to each other, but that doesn't mean that we have to cut the competition. It there for a little bit, it was like I was watching the NBA All-Star game. That's what it
Oh,
felt
yeah.
like. That's what it seemed like. The NBA All-Star game is not the same as it used to be. Back when Kobe was playing, Kobe was ready to, he wanted to win. Not saying that they don't now. I just don't see that type of hunger in those. Fight me for that too. Now I'm seeing a bunch of artists that are, I wouldn't even say coming out of the woodwork, but are just, okay, here we go. and this was the perfect time. And shout out to Kendrick Lamar for not switching up. He's been very authentic since Section 8, even before that. Good Kid, Mad City, Damn, uh, Mr. Morale, GNX. It's been him this whole time, and it's like, man, listen, you're my bro, but I'm here to rip your head off. And it doesn't even have to be, it doesn't even have to be like that. I mean, it's like I don't want, I wouldn't want Cavelli to get on my track and give me half bars. I want him to come on and I want him to be Cavelli, the Cavelli Punisher, white. I want him to do that.
Mhm.
I want him to be him and go hard because because he would expect that from me, and that energy gets reciprocated.
Yeah.
So it's never like that. So, and yeah, get out of your feelings, just get out of your feelings with it and just rap, man, and just be creative and be you, and just knock the nuance out. Yeah. And that's tough. That's tough for artists. Yeah. I was talking to Hakeem earlier this week, and we were talking about, like, man, I've been listening to me lately. I've been listening to a lot of me because I want to hear where I was then, where I'm at now, where I'm progressing, and like what's the, keep building my story. And I feel that that's a big key too that I want to bring up. The key to prosperous and longevity in the music industry, in the music business, is telling a story. And it's not you just telling a story, but telling your story and make it compelling storytelling in your music as well. That draws the audience along, where they're wondering where the part two is, or they see the correlation between this album and this album, or this song and this song, where you can just start piecing the puzzles together. That's Hove. It does a great job with that. People don't believe that this is what he was talking about back then. But if you go back and listen to Reasonable Doubt, and then you listen to Magna Carta, then you listen to 444, and you listen to all of those things, you see how all of those have these lines that all draw back to one another. That's what I specifically do with my music. And I feel like that it was by design. And I thank God that I was just able to, I guess in some ways unconsciously, like he gave me the starting point. He gave me the starting point. He said start here. And then over time it just became that. And as cringy as it is to hear the old, like the younger me sometimes,
Mhm.
I was like, man, it's having some good fun. And I loved me some me back then too. I mean, I still had to develop. I still have to develop now. But hip hop I feel has taken the forefront, and I feel like it always has. I feel like hip hop has always been the backbone, and you can find me for that in the comments too. But I feel like hip hop has always been the backbone, because now, even when I look at music and I look at fusion, there's a lot of hip hop based fusion in there. There's a lot of poppy styles, a lot more rhythm in this. So I feel that all music is the same. If I'm going to be completely transparent with you, because ultimately division is meant to keep us apart, and music is a language of love. So
Yeah. I feel that totally.
that's my perspective on it entirely. And I love country just as much as I love hip hop and bluegrass and folk and heavy metal, and because there's always something I can take away from all of those different styles of music and find a piece of me in them.
Yeah. There's been a real waking up in all of those, like, all of the genres, but I definitely agree that hip hop is in a renaissance at the forefront. And I totally think that there's something about the time that we're going through, and hip hop is telling the story, and the story is our lives. And
Hmm.
so it's like the narration that's going on that's describing what it is that we're going through. And it does need to bring us together. And there are people that have been waking up to a lot of things, a lot of the stuff that we talk about here in the show. But like in the very last episode, we said, why are we even fighting, right?
Right.
It's There's so much more that we have in common with each other than the things that separate us. And yet we've let, I think, people come in that weren't allowed to be a part of the game to begin with. And these
Mm.
people were through money and influence and other means had corrupted things in such a way where music didn't have that purity. But yeah, I definitely feel
Mhm.
that that's we're in a really interesting disruptive time right now, man. I
Yeah.
really feel like things are going to get turned around on everything's getting turned around on its head. So
To your point of entry, once mm, just in all music, man, and just in the way that it ghostwriters and songwriters, people like that that know what can draw certain emotions to manipulate people into feeling certain ways. Sad songs make you sad, happy songs make you happy, and whatever emotion it is. And it could also be that violent songs make you commit crimes. And when we talk about and I fight with this as well because I'm not going to sit here and blame hip hop on destruction within inner cities or anything like that. I'm not going to blame that at all. I would say that it contributed in some way, but when you look at the core of it and all of that, I mean, like, dude, let's get back. Let's get back to the bare bones. Let's get back to the minerals of the home. Let's get back to the individual. Let's get back to, I mean, all of it. And that's where I can definitely jump into a rabbit hole with that, and just the systemic aspect of that you can fight me in the comments about. And I've had this open dialogue with an acquaintance of mine years ago about systemic racism and just or psychological warfare. All in all, if I'm really just going to sum it up in its common denominator, psychological warfare too, man. When you've got artists that grew up in neighborhoods where they were broken and they were talking about those things and what they had to do to survive or what they're still doing to survive, because some of them are still 1 foot in 1 foot out. But now when you're talking about those things, you've got somebody talking to a youth about that who would, instead of hearing the in between the line of this isn't it, they repeat that process and the cycle continues. But you have to figure out where the cycle began, and that's where I talk about music being one and not just all of these other things that they try to do to divide us. And I mean, that's they try to blame hip hop, and that in a way is you just saying, I'm just going to go ahead and blame black people. And then you're going to just say, well, we can do your music better. And so there's that rabbit hole, there's that part, cat's out of the bag. I do feel the way that I feel at times, but again, like, these are just like these are the human thoughts. Like, all in all, I don't let these projections and none of that crap control me. I look at
yeah.
I look at you, Dunamis, the same as I look at, just like love is love. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, love is love, and that's what it is. That's what the word means, like, as defined, and nothing else with it. So, and it just, why don't we just, if we're gonna ghost write and we're gonna just make songs that are gonna get people popping, why don't you make or ghost write songs that are going to help people think for themselves? I feel like we would be a lot more prosperous if we did it like that instead of holding people down. Because you could still make money with people being productive. I promise you. You don't have to. You don't have to hold us in chains and make us slaves and then try to control us with the one thing that was supposed to free us.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is the music as a means to break the cycle is the weapon to use, right? If the music, I'm not going to blame hip hop. I think hip hop. I will say that I think hip hop is just like so many things, just like money and so many other things that could be used, for good or for evil, right? It's
Mhm.
a tool. But I do think that it's a great that some of the best hip hop, especially some of the best hip hop lyrics that I've heard, are ones that almost like a meme can sort of unlock a truth with sometimes with a
Yes. Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And and so I definitely think that this is your I mean, it's not me to say that this is your role, but when I say your, I'm using we're capital Y here. This
Right.
is the role of I think the hip hop artist going forward has got to be to do that, to go back to the uncovering the truth in kind of the way that we're doing it here, but uncovering the truth, and whatever that truth is, it's that's why the authenticity is so important to it, right?
Hmm.
But if it is a sad story about where somebody came from, then it needs to be reflected in a sad way, so that it's yeah. I mean, I do think that there were definitely things that had been potentially glamorized in a way that they shouldn't have been glamorized by the industry. I definitely don't think that I don't view that as as a reflection of the people. I think that's a reflection of what what was done to make money in a greedy industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's all it is. And so
Mhm.
we can be a part of counteracting that.
Right. I agree with you. Those songs didn't have to be put at the top of the Billboard charts. We didn't have to have a song that was trending for 20 weeks talking about shooting somebody in the face. Or we didn't have to have a song trending on, Billboard, about doing cocaine. And again, man, like, I don't want people or other artists to think that I'm singling them out, and I'm just like, oh well, Will Smith didn't have to cuss in his raps to sell records. Like I didn't, I
He
don't want it to.
he did in a couple of them. I had a bunch of Fresh Prince albums back in the day,
I
and
love
so
Will Smith. They
yeah.
could they a lot of and I really didn't know how to take this when I was a kid, but some of the teachers when I was in middle school said, "Oh, you give me that Will Smith vibe." And then there for a while, a lot of people were telling me, "Yeah, man, you remind me of like Will Smith." And I really didn't know how to take it. And then somebody told me, "Oh, you kind of rap like Logic." And I really didn't know how to take that. Shout out to Logic, but I just didn't know how to take that. I was like, what are you exactly trying to say to me right now? Like, are you saying that Logic's a good rapper, or are you saying that I rap like a white rapper? Because if you're saying that, Logic is also biracial. So do your homework. That's what I'm gonna say about that. um, but yeah, those things didn't need to be glorified like that. And just with artistry, Jay Z said it. He said, if I would have grew up to be a lawyer, my nephew would have grown up to do the same." So you talk about the things that you see. So if that's what you see, and music is your way to express that, and that became a means of saying, "Man, if I can start off and make a couple grand or 50 grand, and do this and try to get out." But man, it's tough because like you have to think a lot of those affiliations and whatnot, and then you try to bring people that really just can't come, won't come, shouldn't come, aren't coming. And some of those people are going to pull you back, and you're not going to be able to make your journey because of those things. And that's a tough thing to break, man. Old habits are hard to break. That's for sure. It don't matter what you're doing. No matter what you're doing. I mean, an old habit could be a generation of families that are lawyers and doctors. And then all of a sudden somebody says, "I just want to be a freelance photographer." They're going to look at you crazy, at least for a quick minute. And it would be no different if someone's like, "Hey man, I'm gonna join this these group of people and do this for a little bit," and then turn around and be like, "Nah man, actually I'm about to go to college." You're gonna be like, "What, Ricky?" And then it's just it's shout out to Boys in the Hood. um but yeah, we need to normalize, we need to normalize the peace aspect of it. We need to normalize being able to talk about healing and finding that silver lining, because you don't have to be gang banging in the morning over bacon. You don't. In the words of Cat Williams.
the um the incredible amount of different perspectives and real art that's out there. I think encouraging more people to create their real art is going to be a healing thing. that we need to have happen in this world now. Like I sometimes speak in really grand terms on some of this stuff, but like I really
Uh,
think we're at a pivotal moment in history, and we're gonna have to come out of this and heal from it. You know?
oh yeah, we are. And I want to just to promote SLR. Any artist interested in in music and being a part of a label, be ready to heal. But come in with your healing boots. Come in with a healing mindset for sure, because this is deeper than the music itself. And I feel that that was always known, even in ancient times, with the art and just the properties that music had to heal the body and the frequencies. And we weren't far from that. I mean, everything in life is sound. You two said it. Um, that's why there's such a scope on music, I feel, because that can be that unity device. And I mean, it's the forefront, anything. And so, yeah, why don't you use the one thing that could be used for good to divide us? And
Yeah, that's really what that's how crafty the enemy is to
yeah,
do that kind of stuff, you know? So,
right.
uh, not just to take yeah, not just to take a bad thing to hurt us, but to take what is really supposed to be the best thing and use that to hurt us. But the the potential for good, and what about the next generation coming up? Like, how much harder is it with AI? Is it going to make sense to be a carpenter if at some point a robot will be able to do it better? Or does it make sense to be a rapper if somebody's gonna, someday be able to write better lines? Or is it just better not to put that kind of thinking into it and just let your art be your art?
I think that, and to expand on that, it depends on when we talk about AI. If you want to be a carpenter in AI, and the AI is, I don't even want to say the barrier, but let's say the next generation, you want to be a carpenter, but now AI has been implemented into the carpentry industry. Now you know that. For you to qualify in those spaces, you have to understand the technology and just understand what is being built and how you can enhance that, upgrade, implement something new, expand on that. I feel that this is going to create a lot of job opportunities, to be honest with you. I don't think AI is as bad as a lot of people think. I feel that if anything, now we're doing less physical labor and we're using our minds, and we should be using our minds. It feel like there's so many different pockets of our mind that are already untapped, that utilizing these technologies, like, is just going to do nothing but build more research. And then just there's going to be a lot of people coming out of spaces, and just coming up with so many different creative things. And as far as music goes, I feel like there's a space for AI artists, and there will always be a human artist, man, because there's always going to be a Stevie Wonder. You're always going to listen to Stevie Wonder or Michael Jackson or Prince or whatever. There's always going to be that aspect of that. And there's always going to be a level of nostalgia for people when you're talking about concerts, and that interaction of just seeing somebody live like that, and just that feeling that you get from another human interaction, and energy that you feel on top of the music too. And that'll never go away, man. We've got artists that are selling out stadiums and arenas, and that are traveling all over the world. And there's just so many traditionalists out there that, if you just went full on AI, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't. Just in the sense of, if you just went full AI and everything was digital and everything was just on a phone or on a computer, and you eliminated, or just kind of lessened that actual in live interaction, it would it that type of interaction, I feel like, defines the fundamentals of music. So yeah, I don't ever see that going away.
Yeah. There's that spiritual aspect of it too, that sort of, with a live, like you said, the interaction that happens, there's a human touch, a human element, and a spiritual element to it that you can't really you're not ever going to be able to replicate any other way, right? Other
Right.
than having that. But
I
I would.
appreciate all of the intuitive questions, man. It's not every day that you get interviewed on your own podcast. But I really hope that we've been able to provide some insight and shed some light, and I hope that you guys have been able to get to know me a little bit more. And I really hope that you continue to follow me on this journey. That you see fit until you hit a fork and you gotta you gotta split and do your thing. But I just hope that I'm able to at least be able to give you information and give you light and give you energy to for you to continue to pursue your thing. And it's not easy, dude. It really isn't. And yeah, I never. It's listening to the other artists, and like, man, I make it sound so easy, but it's not. And I wholeheartedly believe it. It's not.
Even though it might seem, even though AI is sort of seems like the easy thing to learn, it's probably the future is probably going to be a combination. And
Yeah.
art is still a worthwhile pursuit.
Oh yeah. And even with the AI technology, the thing about being an artist is you still have to put yourself out there. So even if you do make these songs and you just have everything backlogged and you're the only person that listens to it, guess what? Nobody knows who you are. That's about being an artist. You have to be vulnerable all the way. There is no halfway vulnerable. Vulnerable is vulnerable. You have to be able to put yourself out there to for people to know who you are. And that was something that I struggled with for a little bit. I was thinking that I was annoying people, and I could only do this so many times a day, and then that and the third, and then I had to think to myself, they don't even know me. Number one, so what does it matter? And then number two, who cares? It's my stuff. It'd be no different if I posted 100 memes. It would be substituted with 100 songs. You would just have to listen to 100 songs instead of liking 100 memes. That's how I flip that. So, like, man, I've been up till 5:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Making music and or just sitting throughout the day and thinking and or looking out a window or smoking a J and taking a walk. And a lot of this is it's a spiritual journey, man. It's more than just sitting down at a computer or going to a studio and just laying down tracks. This is your life, and you need to look at it like that. And that's I take my music very, very seriously because I know at the end of the day, my music is going to outlast me. So what am I leaving for people when I move forward to the next chapter of my life? When people hear me, are they gonna feel inspired, stimulated, influenced to continue to be a better them? Or am I just gonna be one of those people that just tried to fit in and had a run there for a little bit and not even one hit wondered out? Because still until now, people don't know me, like not hundreds and millions of thousands, people, like, people still don't know me. And I'm still in that I will forever be in that hunger stage of my life because I love music that much, and it's a sport, like I said. And I just don't feel like Jay-Z still raps, if that says anything. Like, man, I'm rap till I'm 65, 75 years old, as long as I'm able to do it. 'Cause somebody's gonna listen, some way, maybe, I don't know, but as long as I can still do it, I'm gonna do it. But man, don't look around and see what other people have, man. I see a lot of people that I graduated with in high school that got married, had kids, this house and blah blah blah, and go on vacations, or had well off families, and they just took trips all the time. And here I was in my working on music, and all the while I was thinking maybe I should have a family and just do the 9 to 5 thing and the white picket fence. Not do that. I've gone to a point of no return. And to all of you guys out there, I'm gonna leave it to this. If you need a plan B, then you never had a plan A. Stick with your plan. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
Oh yeah, gotta hang on, go for broke.
Mhm.
I agree, man. Well, this is a great conversation. I love this. This has been an absolutely fantastic episode. I just want to thank you, Izzy, for sharing and being vulnerable and sharing a big part of your journey with us. If y'all made it all the way to the end here, you guys need to drop a guitar emoji in the comments, please.
Guitar.
And
you said that.
guitar. On that note, awesome, man. Well, let's do it again.
Do it again. We'll see you guys
All
next
right.
week.
Never give up the fight.
Never give up the fight.
You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test, expect nothing less, your check as I'm chess, what's happening next, He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession, all in his possession. You got their attention, I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.